Hi, I'm Stewart from the Norfolk Honey Company, and welcome back to our on-the-spot queen rearing series of videos. So we're taking a look at the on-the-spot queen rearing again, and in this instance what I'm looking for is queens. If you recall, we had the double brood box and we split that down. We removed the queen and put her into a nuke box, and that caused the original colony to produce queen cells. I tried to cut into the comb to produce on the spot queen cells, but they just repaired it, so we were left with emergency queen cells that they produced elsewhere on the combs. So we ended up with 5 nukes with a single queen cell in each, and we've taken a look at them, and the queens, certainly in 1 or 2 of them, the queens have emerged, and we've come back now a little while later, it's about a week later, and we're just going to go and see if the queens have started laying. So we'll grab the camera, head over to these 2-in-1 nukes. These are the BS Honey 2-in-1 nukes, and again I'll put some links down in the description so that you can link across to have a look at them. But they seem to be working really well, and the divider in the middle, creating the 2 3-frame nukes, seems to be quite effective. So we'll take the camera over and have a look and see how they're doing. So what we've got here, if you recall, is 2 3-frame nukes in this end box, 2 nukes, again 3 frames in this one, and this end one is a 6-frame nuke. So we're going to have a look in this one first. We only had the 5 queen cells, so the great thing about these BS Honey 2-in-1 nukes is that you can use the divider, or you can take that out and use it just as a single box. So we'll give them a little bit of smoke. I've got feeders on these at the moment, but we're not actually using the feeders themselves. So it's been a fairly miserable morning weather-wise. We've had lots of rain this morning and due to have some thunderstorms later, which isn't great. So we're hoping that the bees will behave themselves. And of course, with a new queen, we won't know the kind of traits that she's got and the traits that the bees will have until her young emerge. So we need to just be mindful that if these bees are grumpy, whether it's the weather or just their natural temperament, that could well change when the new queen finally starts laying and has offspring of her own. So I'm just scanning now to see if I can spot the queen. The bees are running around a little bit more than I would like, which doesn't help. This fact that I haven't got my glasses on doesn't help either. The other thing to say, of course, is that if you, like me, need to wear glasses in order to spot eggs, then make sure that you have your glasses on. And at the moment I'm not... Oh, actually yes, we've got eggs here, so that's really good news. So somewhere in here we have a queen that's just started laying. And that's really good news. I don't think that we're actually going to be able to get close enough to show you the eggs. There's only 1 or 2, but we'll... So we have 2 frames in here that have been cleared, ready for the queen to lay eggs into, and the rest has just been filled up with stores. So we're going to just go back over those 2 frames and see if we can spot the queen on them, because that's where she's most likely to be. And we'll also try and get a close-up and see if we can show some eggs. So I've not seen the queen, but there are some eggs, and the bees are really running around on the combs here, and we're hoping that that's not a trait that she will be passing on to her offspring. So we can just hope really that her offspring will be a little bit less racy on the combs. So we'll close these up and then we'll move on to the next colony and have a look to see what we've got in the next one. So we'll now move on to the two nukes in the middle. So these are two 3-frame nukes. So we'll just pop that down there and just have a little look at what we've got. So here we have the divider in the middle, and we have 3 frames on either side. So we'll just have a look and see if we can spot any eggs in here, and maybe a queen as well. So we'll have a quick look. So I would expect the temperament of all of these nukes to be the same, because these bees all came from the same original colony. So it will be interesting to see if their traits actually change as we move through and find ourselves with new queens. So we've got just stores being packed away on this frame, and on the other side, one of the things that you can look for when you're looking for a new queen, there's an area where the bees are not storing nectar, and if you can see here, all of these bees are storing nectar, but then just on this side they've left a patch of cells which have been cleaned, ready for the new queen to start laying eggs into. So I immediately would take heart from that and imagine that we have a queen that's going to either start laying soon or has maybe just started on another comb. Again, we have an area of brood comb here that's not yet been worked on in terms of nectar being stored and our clean cells. So I would anticipate that, although I'm not seeing any eggs, that potentially we have a queen here who is going to start laying soon. So we'll pop this frame back and we'll close this side up. Just make sure we get these frames in the right way round. And so now we can have a look at the other side. It's a little bit awkward just leaning across here, but again we can have a look to see if we've got any sign of a laying queen. So we'll pop the frame down in front of the entrance that leads to that particular nuke. And on this side we've got a large patch of eggs. Still not seeing the queen, so we'll just pop this back. We know that the queen is in there because she's laying eggs, and we don't want to disturb them unnecessarily on each comb, so we'll pop that one back, and now we'll have a quick look at the final frame. So when people talk about bees running on the comb, this is exactly what they're talking about. Bees that just run very, very quickly across the comb and make it quite difficult for you to see what's happening. So again, hopefully the new queen will introduce her own traits, and those traits will perhaps be bees that run less across the comb. So we'll pop these back, and then we'll have a look at the final 2-in-1 nuke box. And so we come to the final BS Honey box. Just put the roof and feeder down. We're not actually using the feeder at the moment. Just give them a little bit of smoke. And we'll just have a look again, just very quickly, to see if we can spot any activity, to indicate that there's a laying queen. These are storing nectar and pollen, and pollen's always a good sign. You're hopeful that if you see pollen, then that might mean that the queen is in there and is about to start laying. Again, we have some eggs in this colony, so that's really good. So I would say, with some very, very young larvae in 1 or 2 of the cells, the queen in this colony started laying perhaps 4 days ago. We'll pop that back in. It's still feeling a little bit cool now. So we don't want to disturb them too much. And that's just a solid frame of food stores. Close these up, get these back to going about their business without us interfering with them. One of the things that you have to be mindful, of course, when you're putting a frame back in a 2-in-1 nuke, is that you don't shake the bees off across the entire split division board, and shake bees from one side into both boxes. So we'll just have a quick look in this side, see if we can spot any eggs. Pop the frame on the outside where the entrance for this side resides. Oh, and I've seen the queen here, so we've got a queen who's walking around. So that's the first queen we've actually spotted, and she's just walking around now looking for somewhere to lay her eggs. And this whole area has got brood in, so I would suspect that she perhaps started laying maybe 5 or 6 days ago. And you can see quite clearly on this side how the bees have vacated this huge area on the comb for the queen to lay into. We've got food stores around the edges, but they've left this entire central area alone for her to lay her eggs in, which she has done. So I would say she's a successfully mated queen, and we'll pop her back in. And just have a look at this final frame. And again, a large area has been reserved for her to lay her eggs in on both sides of this comb. So we could really look to move her into a 6-frame nuke and give her some additional brood comb so that she can continue to lay at the rate that she is. She's obviously laying very well, so we'll look to move her out as quickly as we can. Put the feeder back on, and then the roof will go back on top of that. So those BS honey nukes are actually looking really good. We appear to have a queen in each of those, and we've identified that several have now got laying queens in, which is really exciting because initially I thought that on-the-spot method was actually going to result in not a great deal of success, but we've now got 5 nukes where we look as if we could well have a successful mating in each of them. So what is important is that we keep a very close eye on them now, because in such a small nuke, 3-frame nuke, they can get congested very, very quickly, and before you know it, they'll be throwing queen cells and that new queen is going to be swarming. So we'll look to move them across into 6-frame nukes at the very next opportunity, and then from that point on, once they're filling the 6-frame nukes, we'll then move them on again into a full-size hive. My thanks to Daniel and Tristan at BS Honey for supplying us with those 2-in-1 nuke boxes. I think they're a fantastic piece of kit. They've worked really well for us on this first occasion, and if you're interested in taking a look at them, I know that they're in very short supply, but they have got more stock coming in, so please do pop over and take a look at their website, and don't forget to let them know that you saw the 2-in-1 nukes on our videos here. Don't forget that you can also catch up with lots more videos on our Patreon page. It's where you can help support us in producing more videos, and in return gain access to at least another 8 videos per month that are only available to patrons, and also a range of other content including blogs, photographs and our podcast. So that's it for this video. We're going to press on and just do some more beekeeping now, but until next time, thanks for watching.